You become a conglomerate, Arty.
I've got so much shit. I don't even know what's going on in my life, bro.
Shaun, you look like shit, dude.
Thanks, brother.
What's happened to
you? What's happened to me?
Yeah.
Arty's got the world title on Saturday.
Yeah.
Cage Muay Thai. Last HUD sparring, 12 rounds, 4 ounce gloves.
Yep.
So yeah, a few dings. A few cuts.
Just a couple of cheeky dings.
A couple of eye pokes, seeing somebody's learning how to use their their fingers.
Yeah.
But it's all part of the job. So
yeah,
good times.
Yeah, man. It's not.
This is why I'm on the big bucks.
So what's the title? Cage Muay Thai.
Yep. Go forward, mate. Your fight.
It's IKBF Cage Muay Thai world title, lightweight. So it'll be in 4 ounce gloves, MMA gloves, and it'll be in the cage. So it'll be full Muay Thai and the MMA gloves. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
and it's at Explosive Fight Promotions in North Queensland.
Okay.
And I just can't wait to get in. It'll be the first world title in far North Queensland in Cairns, on Cairns soil. So pretty good to make some history while I'm there.
Fuck, dude. Okay, so let's go back a little bit to you've been, how old are you now?
Me now, I'm 37.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we're about the same age. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long you been fighting?
I started about 5 years old when I started martial arts, but I started combat sport at about 14. And so, yeah.
You started martial arts at 5?
Yeah,
so
5 years old.
What were you doing?
So my mum fostered a Vietnamese boy, and we grew up with some Vietnamese boys, and they were really into Bruce Lee. And I just remember, so the first martial arts I learned was Vovinam at about 5 years old. And I sort of never looked back. I was the one who kept doing it. And
what's it called?
Vovinam. It's a traditional Vietnamese martial arts. And from there I did like karate, and then took up boxing as a young fella, and became a state champion boxer, and went pretty far in that as well. But it all started at 5 years old. There's a photo of me in a gi next to my older brother, and that's where it all started. So
wow,
bit of dedication from there on, I guess.
It's funny. Yeah, I heard you were talking before about you got a little girl.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
My daughter's 7.
Okay.
So you're turning 7. She's 6, turning 7. Beautiful, young age, and So I was up there recently, just getting ready for my fight, and so I was waking her up at 6 a.m. before she had to go to school to take her to the gym and show her what her dad does.
Yeah.
Just so she had like first hand, can see this is what I do every day. I get up, rain, hail or shine, I've got to work too.
So you're training every day?
Yeah, I train every day, twice a day. So
wow, man.
Morning and night. So
it's so my daughter is 2.5, and I've talked about this a bunch of times, but I want to get her into some kind of martial arts as soon as she's old enough. So probably like jiu-jitsu, a bit of Muay Thai as well, just because, we know what boys can be like. Some guys don't have any impulse control. Yeah. And I want her to be able to, threaten to break an arm if she has
to. Take care of the situation.
Take care of the situation, and it's just interesting here. You've been doing it since you were 5, and I think that there's probably, I've only just started doing martial arts with Shaun at the UFC gym, and I've always been someone who's never been. My instinct is flight. How there's the animal instinct of fight, flight, or freeze, right? And we don't really get to choose that. It's just built in.
Yeah.
And mine has just always been flight. So to embrace actually fighting. Now I'm not fighting anyone, but even clenching a fist and going, I'm going to front up to someone. It's just not in my DNA. So it's been a real trip for me to kind of, cop some gentle hits and just stand there and do some light sparring and some drills and stuff. So it's been a journey for me. But I always wonder with guys like you, you're clearly not, your MO is not flight. Clearly
not all there.
Clearly not. There's clearly something wrong with you, But the point I'm getting at is your instinct, if you were backed into a corner, would be fight, clearly, because you wouldn't be choosing to do this if it wasn't there. But how is that? What's your relationship with fighting and with violence in general?
Everybody is like a yin yang, I guess. Like everybody's got fight, everybody's got flight. It's just a matter of how in tuned in the moment. Like you might not be a trained fighter, but if I put you in a situation where you're walking with your daughter and some guy comes over to snatch her, whatever, rob you guys, there's going to be something inside of you that's going to twitch.
Yep.
And you're going to turn into that lion that's needed in that moment.
Well,
you might not have the skill.
You know why I'm doing this now is because I've become a dad, because of that exact thing. Yeah. That's why at this point in my life, at 36, 37, now I'm 38, I've gone, oh no, I need to know how to do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm a dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But you'll get, I've got, clients, I've got students that are, up into their 60s and 70s, man. And some of them might have started, even later, like retirement age. And I think it's cool as hell that it's like, people can get stuck in that rut. This is me. This is my life. This is my life. And then get to the later years and it's like, it's too late for me to do this. I've got people that are overcoming all sorts of like physical, mental challenges that come in and they're doing the training. And I personally don't give a shit whether you're going for a world title or if it's you. If you're coming in, it's like, I want to just get 100% of you out at the time and you'll just build it from there and, away you go.
Yeah, there's something kind of meditative about fighting. Like you can't really be, even when you're just hitting the bag and your coach is yelling at us to do the next combo, you can't really have your mind wandering.
It's like the flow state.
Yeah, it really is. You're pretty clear at that point. And I would imagine when you've got an actual real person standing in front of you who's going to kick you in the head, you're probably even more present. Does that sound right to you?
So I reckon the key is like he was saying, everybody's got fight or flight in them. So the key is it's about programming your brain too. So I go in there every day and I program my brain to go into that situation and choose fight, you know what I mean? But naturally, my body wants flight as well, everybody can choose whatever, but because every day I go in there and I put myself into that situation, that uncomfortable zone and I make sure that I work harder and that now my brain fires like the first time you get kicked, the first time you get kicked ever, your brain goes, no, and then pain kicks in and you go, what the fuck? What am I even doing here, right? What the hell? And then after a year of getting kicked, you get kicked and you smile and you go, yeah, come on. And your brain's not really saying come on, but you've trained it to say come on, you know what I mean? Naturally, you don't, the fear's still there, it still hurts, it's still acknowledged, but the truth is
that's wild to me. Shaun said this to me in class one time. I did a leg check and I don't even do the sparring class. We were doing the drilling class. It was the fundamentals class and we were doing a practice leg check and we happened to get shin on shin with the guy who's just as much of a noob as me. And we're both like, and I've turned to Shaun and I'm going, man, how do you handle leg checks? When does it not hurt? And he goes, it always hurts. It just depends on how much you care.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
I never thought of it. I always thought, it's got to stop hurting, right? It can't hurt like this, but no. Clearly from what you guys are saying.
Yeah. It's just how you take that, how you perceive that pain, you know what I mean? So if you can teach your brain into being something stronger than it, do you know what I mean? So the more adversity I put myself through now, the better for me, you know what I mean? The better I perform, the more comfortable I am, the more relaxed I am in that state, you know what I mean? So
it becomes a familiar place.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before, but it's performing in any way, right? When you for me being a musician, I get up on stage, and I did this gig one time in New Zealand. I joined this band called Shotgun Alley, and they were already doing some cool things, and it was kind of like cock rock, glam stuff, and we got this gig. My first gig with them was at a pub in front of probably 250 people. It's a fair few people, right? I'd done gigs that big before, but that was a pretty cool gig. And you get excited and you do your best. The second gig I did with them was supporting ZZ Top at the Hamilton V8 Supercar Day.
Wow.
So there were thousands of people there. So it was us and then ZZ Top. And all these people were fucking hammered and they wandered over from the thing, from the races, and were ready to see the band. We come out and there's 15,000 people there just wasted and keen for some rock and roll. I came out and I made noises with my voice that I've never made in my life. And there's video of it, and I'm like, I couldn't do that. I could not do that sound if I tried. It's just pure adrenaline. And I remember waking up mentally halfway through the set and realizing it was like I'm here.
Back in your body.
Back in my body. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, breathe from your diaphragm, use your technique, all the things that I'd learned about being a singer, being a performer, I was able to access. But I was like, I got no idea what I just did for the first 4 songs. No idea. I'll have to watch the footage and see how that went. Completely offline.
Yeah.
And from what you're describing, I bet it's like that with fighting. There's got to be a bunch of fights where you are just, like at the beginning, where you are just like offline, right?
Yeah.
No matter
Autopilot. And then you come out of it and you think, what happened? You got to watch over and you're like, oh, you know, some fights you come out of it and you think, oh, I did terrible. And then you watch over, you're like, I did really good. Other fights you come out going, oh, I did really good. And you look over and you're like, I did really terrible. You know, it's just part about being a fighter, you know what I mean? And like, you know, some days, like I was saying too, you can have the perfect lead up, the perfect build up, but if it's just not your day too, it's just not your day. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter how much work you put in and all this, do you know what I mean? If you can't rise to the occasion on the day or let go of everything that happens before it, because it's only a time frame, small time frame in your life, you know what I mean? You might not get that opportunity again. So it's like, for me, every fight that I don't have is a fight that I'll never get.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's a good way to try and stay present, man. I often think about fighting like, and again, I guess because I've only just realized the importance, I think, of being able to physically handle yourself if you need to. But I often think about it like, if you're an alien looking at us doing it, it's a game, but it's just a really high stakes game.
Yeah.
You know, because if you win the game, wow, that's glory. But if you lose, I mean, absolute worst case scenario, you die, but that doesn't happen so much. But you get knocked out or you get a lifelong injury, you know, that's high stakes. But at the end of the day, it's still a game. It's 2 people who are engaging in this willingly and have worked their ass off to be there. Now, I think when you see people fighting that don't want to fight, like when someone doesn't want to fight, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be easy for some folks to confuse the two. You know, you fighting your opponent who for a title is a completely different thing to some thug in the street coming up to someone and trying to fight them.
100%.
Not interested. That's pretty gross.
Well, I wouldn't have, like, being a fighter, and part of that is like martial arts, is you learn that like that wouldn't even come into my brain, like picking on somebody who can't fight, or like I would want to defend them. Do you know what I mean? Because like it's not going to bring me any joy. Do you know what I mean? In hurting somebody who can't defend themselves. If anything, I want to teach them or show them how to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And look after people who don't have the same ability as me. You know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people in the world who don't have the opportunity or, you know, the ability to get up every day and fight, and I do. So I feel lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
So
good for you, man.
My lucky stars.
Yeah, that's I think, you know, especially when you learn to use your body as a weapon and you know what to do. I think it's, if you don't have that attitude, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, we want people who have that, what is it, great power comes great responsibility, you know. Yeah. And we were talking, Shaun, about this kind of thing, and you were saying to me, what would you say if I told you I'm kind of against violence?
Yeah, and then you've come in and now you're using violence, I guess, to, you know, exert your exercise, get your head straight, and then after you do that, beating the hell out of that bag for an hour or doing pads with me or whatever, then you go home and do your wife and your kid, and then all your stress is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
life is better.
I think I met you, like a year ago?
About a year.
You know, and when you first came in, you were like, shit.
Yeah.
Is this for me?
Yeah.
You know, and you're not the only one. A lot of people came in. I mean, I had a day one. He had a day one where you're going to go in there and, you know, it takes guts to walk into a martial arts gym. Well, any gym, you know, and then you stand there and go, okay, I'm going to give this a crack.
It's intimidating.
And then you're always going to see the biggest, baddest, you know, person in the gym and just go, shit. Like, no, I'm not there. It's like, no, you're not. They've been doing it for 20 years.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, but you just keep showing up, man. That's all it is.
Yeah. And the thing that I found fascinating is it's amazing how nurturing people are, and the environment in general.
Yeah.
It's like if you have the guts to put yourself even just in a class, beginner conditioning fundamentals class, everyone kind of has this air of, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and we're doing something that's hard.
Yeah.
And and the people who are better at it than others, help everyone else, and it's really nurturing. It's actually amazingly welcoming. Whereas from the outside, you think it's violent.
Yeah, for sure. If you get a good gym where you've got that good foundation group of members, excuse me, and then those people are all coming together, like you're saying, to help one another. Everybody's a different level. You know, that's when it works. You know, there are places where, and you are time to time, you're going to get people where they want to be the sparring day warrior. That's their championship and whatnot, and you know they've got to be addressed. But
the strongest bloke in the gym or something, they've got some fixation on.
Oh, just some people where they might, maybe I don't know, the time wasn't right, or maybe they never tried it when they were young, and they're getting older, and they're like, I'm just going to come in one day a week and just beat the crap out of someone. But you got to funnel those people out. Yeah, totally, man. So
or teach them.
Yeah, and I feel like there's always going to be someone else that you go to a martial arts
You'll
gym.
learn that pretty quick.
Yeah. If you go to the sparring class and try and beat someone up, and you know you think you're going to try. I mean, I can't imagine there's too many folks who are going to try that on a guy who looks like you, Arty. but you know they're going to do it to the wrong person, and pretty quickly someone's going to step in and go, okay, cool, let's do that. Try that with me.
Yeah,
and then see you later.
Yeah, well, that's where like the training culture in Thailand comes in good, because you'll go in there and there'll be like 50 no-name little assassins in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, the first time you go over, you think, oh, I've got half an idea what's going on. And you get over there and you realize every move you think you know, there's a counter for.
Yes.
And some 14-year-old already knows it. And it's, you know, if you go in there with an ego, it's going to be a humbling experience. But, you know, once you get in there and you're part of the crew and you realize, wow, we're training like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, but it's play. You know, like, there are going to be hard sessions when you got a fight coming up, but generally speaking, it's like, you know, you might do a sparring session that might go for 3 or 4 hours, you know, and in that time, like you might have 30, 40, 50 people in the gym all going at the same time, but nobody's getting hurt because everybody's going light and having fun, and I'm letting you try something and then I'm trying it back on you, and here's a little counter. Hey, we learned something new. You know, it's a good way to be. So like, it's good to try, and there's a lot of gyms, like especially lucky in Queensland, there's a lot of gyms where guys will go over there and do that and then come back and instill that style into their gym. And I think it's a good way to be, you know, just have fun with it. Like, you know, leave the ego at the door.
Yes. Yeah. Thailand and they live and breathe it over there.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Like early, like that's their sport is Muay Thai.
It's their NRL, it's their AFL, you know, combined. You know, everybody's involved in it. You know, if you're not a fighter, your brother's a fighter, or your sister's a fighter, or your dad was a fighter, or there's a gym next door to you. Like there's no getting away from it. It's Thai culture. You know, it's Buddhism and Muay Thai.
Isn't that fascinating? Buddhism and Muay Thai. Wow.
Bit of a yin yang, but but it works. Yeah.
That's a cool balance.
Yeah.
And what's the? Because I know that there's is it Letway?
Yeah, that's from Myanmar.
And that's
Burma.
Continuation, you got your headbutts involved.
Yeah, right. That's even more brutal. And correct me if I get this wrong, but the fight ends, there's no points. The fight ends when someone is out, basically. Or is there time?
It depends on, like, now they're sort of bringing around more like stadium fights, I guess, for it. Because, you know, originally Muay Thai back in the days, it's actually a army self-defense. You know, and then, you know, once you lost your sword or whatever, or your gun, as time had gone on, then it's your hand-to-hand combat.
I see.
Yeah. So there's all different regions, like Southeast Asia, like everybody's doing their own version of it.
Yeah. It all comes from like a similar place, right?
Yeah.
But because the Lethways, so there's headbutts, there's even smaller pads, right? You're not really.
Well, you use your rope. Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a fight.
Yeah, basically. I
watched a little bit on YouTube and I was like, man, this is
another level.
And it's sort of like because they're going for knockouts.
Headbutt training.
Yeah, well, because if there's no point scoring, well, then I guess that makes sense. It's like it doesn't matter how many.
Yeah.
If you hit the guy 50 times and he knocks you out, see you later.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it. Like all over the world, it's like a variety of martial arts, variety of different countries. You know, and you see how. It's self-defense, but then you spread that around the world and how everybody's come up with something, you know, to defend themselves.
It is fascinating when you observe UFC, right, and mixed martial arts the way we have it in general, and where that came from. You know, I'm sure you guys have seen the UFC 1 and 2 and those original ones where it was legitimately one discipline versus a completely different discipline and very little crossover. So you had, what was that famous fight where you had, I think he was Taekwondo or karate, some kind of kickboxing.
With the BJJ.
Well, no, and with against the sumo. You seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
And the sumo, of course, does his sumo thing and charges him.
That's your old Pride days,
Yeah, and he just palms him off, then whack, kicks him in the mouth and his teeth come out.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, wow, it was so like Wild West back then because it was legitimately a figuring out of what method is going to be superior. And now it's basically at a point where you must have some kind of like excellent grappling, probably jiu-jitsu. The wrestlers do really well too, but probably jiu-jitsu, right? And you must have excellent kickboxing. You can't just be a boxer. You got to have, and so it's essentially Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to somebody about it recently, and it's like when it first started, it was like the sport was the MMA. Nowadays, the athlete is the MMA. Before you had, like you're saying, you had, you know, say Muay Thai versus BJJ or whatever. But now the athlete, their background might be Muay Thai.
Their personal
might be
mix.
BJJ. Maybe 70% background Muay Thai. He's got 30% of his time spent on BJJ. The other guy's opposite. You know, and that's where it's all got to flow, you know, like, you know, where you're spending your time in each discipline, where you're lacking.
Yeah.
Your opponent, what's their advantage? You better start working on counters for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I saw the other day, you know, I was doing some homework just to have some stuff to chat with you guys about, and fuck, there's some pretty crazy fight styles going on. You know, there's like the street beefs, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's street beefs is in YouTube. It's just like backyard fights. So it's MMA for people who don't know how to fight really, or who are, you know, trying to get there. And it's
the Florida Fight League.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But then I saw one, you know, talking about technique. It was this David versus Goliath match, and I think it was in South America. And there's this little dude who comes out, and he's probably 65 kilos. What do you fight at?
Yeah, I fight at 61, but I weigh about 65, 66. So
okay, he was probably 65 at the most.
Yeah.
And then the other guy comes out, and you know, he looks like a fighter. He's got the cauliflower ear. He's in great shape. You know, he's a fighter. The other guy comes out. He's like 6'4", and he looks like shit. You know, he looks like a potato, but he's a big guy. And we're like, okay, let's see what happens. And look, you know, a great physique doesn't always mean it's a great fighter.
Yeah.
There's lots of guys who, you know, Tyson Fury looks like a potato, but he's the man. But so anyway, I was thinking, well, how's this going to go? The big dude comes out, and the little guy's kind of, you know, dancing around a bit, and it gets to the point where the little guy realizes, I gotta take this guy down. So he shoots to take him down, and he's got him around the waist, and the big dude's just wailing these hammers on his back, which for a guy who was his size, you just wouldn't be able to get that kind of leverage. But because he was so much longer and bigger, he was able to just smash down on this little dude. But he managed to prevail. And anyway, eventually the little guy got in full mount and was doing some elbows, and the big dude really had nothing. And eventually then he snuck and got him in an armbar, and the little guy won. And it was a perfect example of, you can't pretend to fight if you don't know how to fight. Like technique will usually win over brute force. And it was a beautiful thing to see this drastically smaller person getting it over this much bigger guy. Would you ever do something like that?
Yeah, I'd definitely fight someone bigger than me, that's for sure. Like, you know what I mean? I'm a loose unit, you know what I mean?
I don't know if you know. Did you have to ask that question?
Yeah,
don't give him any ideas.
Yeah, don't give me any ideas. I'll fight anyone, anywhere, any style, you know what I mean? I'm bad for it. So, but yeah, I'd love a challenge, you know what I mean? And like, I used to run my own gym. So, you know, you have blokes walk in the gym from all over the world with, you know, all different sorts of fights. So I'd have some walk in pro champions from overseas and, you know, from all parts of the world. And I'm standing there and I just have to rise to the occasion and battle on with them. You know, some of these boys are 100 kilos. Some boys are the military, they're special forces, and they come in, they put it on you because they want to know whether you're capable of training them. Like, you know, they physically, like, well, they want to put it on you. They want to see, like, is this guy worthy of training me? Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to have no pushover train me, and especially when these guys are out of the military, you know, they've got a job to do. They've got to uphold that for their living, you know what I mean? So you want to help them in life. You want to help them achieve their full potential, you know? So part of that was, you know, I had to learn that it didn't matter who worked through the door, you know, whack your mouth guard in and just give it your best. And so I've definitely put a few big boys out in my time.
Wow, man. Yeah, well, I guess that comes down to fight IQ and experience. You know, it doesn't, if you know what to do and they're just coming in with all power, there's going to be so many gaps and holes that you can find. Yeah. And is that so at your level, because this is just really intriguing to me, what's your state of mind now? Because before we were talking about going into fights, firstly, how long do you think it took you until you were able to really be online from the moment the first bell rings and you're going? Like how many fights did it take for you to go, I'm comfortable here, I'm not freaking out, I'm not like just autopilot?
I would have took over so now I've had this will be my 51st professional fight. So I've had 51 professional fights, but I reckon it took me about 20 professional fights before I started feeling like, you know, reasonably comfortable and started finding my feet. And, you know, I did pretty well compared to other boys. Like, I found it pretty early. Like, some boys, you know, find it a bit later. It takes them a few more fights, you know. Sure. But I felt lucky, as in that I felt pretty comfortable. You know what I mean? I was able to control and understand the human brain and the way it works, so that you know, the reason I studied it too was so that I could understand my opponent and how to bring him down. But in the terms of it, I learned a lot about myself and how to, you know, control my own brain and how to control my own thoughts, you know what I mean? And because, you know, if you control your thoughts, you control your emotions. So, you know what I mean? If I want to be in control of my emotion, I have to control my thoughts, especially when I'm leading up to a fight, you know. I don't let it eat at me. I don't let it get to me, you know, as in when you first start, you know, the thought of old mate coming and fighting you in front of 500 people, like you'd be lying there. This is the best explanation I got it for, is you could be lying there and 1 minute you're fine and then a wave comes over you and all of a sudden you go, oh shit, I'm fighting old mate in fucking 2 weeks, and boom, your heart starts picking up and all of a sudden you like break out in a sweat and you think, fuck, I ought to punch on with old mate. Like, this is really happening. And then as it gets closer, this becomes more and more. So this wave starts trying to hammer in and set in. And like, the more you let it like come in, it'll overtake your body. And like, you'll just be sitting there in the shower. 1 minute you're in the shower and you think, oh, I'm having a love shower. And I'm fighting old mate. So like, do you know what I mean? But like, over time you learn how to control this. And so I've done a lot of research on the human brain and what this does, you know what I mean? So like, how to overcome it and how to prevail, you know, as a fighter. And so now I just push it all out and I just don't let that come in. And then, you know, if it does come in a wave, I just let it ride it and let it cruise out. And I remind myself that the reason I do this sport is because I want to feel, you know, nervous. I want to feel scared, you know, like that's the whole reason I started doing it, you know, like, and, you know, if you run away from that, you know, you run away from the best asset in it. It was like, you know, that's why I did it. It's like, that's why now I want to fight the best in the world, or I will fight a giant, is because I'm like, I want a challenge. I want somebody who's going to make me feel scared before I get in, you know, something that's really going to mentally and physically challenge me, like, to my ability, you know what I mean? And just keep trying to find my full potential. That's what I keep trying to do. So.
Wow, dude, that's a real adrenaline junkie attitude. That is, yeah, like going into the fear, sitting with it, looking at it, letting it hang out, you know, and just getting cozy with that. That's tough, dude. Yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. That's actually what they tell you to do if you're having a bad trip. If you've gotten too stoned, or if you're having, you know, mushrooms are kicking your ass. They go, you can't run away. You just have to sit with it and observe it and let it wash over you. And as soon as you do that, sooner or later it will calm down. And I guess it's you know, because if that instinct of, oh fuck, I'm going to fight some guy and I might get hurt, all that stuff overwhelms you. Well, that animal instinct is, don't do that, you know? Yeah. And your job at this point is to go, no, I can transcend this. And not only will I not be scared, but I can win this. But that's way easier said than done.
Way easier said than done, bro. You know, it takes a lot of time. So now I just tell myself I can win until I believe it. And, you know, believe's 9/10 of the law. So they say, you know, fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? So it's the truth.
What do you think about, because you're a pretty humble dude. You're pretty straight up.
Yeah, I'm very humble. I like to think I'm humble and straight up sort of character. You know what I mean?
What do you think about bravado in martial arts? Because, you know, you'll watch these fight lead-ups. Like, for instance, let's talk about like who's one of the, Jake Paul. You know, these kind of guys, obviously they're trying to promote fights. They're trying to make money. So I think a guy like Jake Paul, you know, both the Paul brothers, it's like in wrestling, there's, what is it, a heel and I can't remember what the good guys are, but there's good guys and bad guys. It's a story. You know, human beings, we love stories. We love characters. So as much as people may hate the Paul brothers, they know that the more you hate them, the more you're going to want to see them fight, which means the more money they're going to make.
They don't care whether you love them or hate them.
They don't give a fuck. In fact, they want you to hate them because that's the role they're playing. They're leaning into the good guy versus the bad guy thing.
It all sells tickets.
It all sells tickets. So it's an interesting game to play. Like, I think that there has to be a part of you that's comfortable there, because if you aren't comfortable being disliked or being really cocky and then you try and put that on, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, you got to put the money where the mouth is. But it's like, that's a whole other, the entertainment side of it all. You know, these days you look at the UFC, there's guys there that are like, yeah, they're fantastic fighters and everything, but outside of their fighting paycheck, how much money are they making? And a lot of it's got to do with what's their social media presence.
How entertaining are they? Yeah.
Are they doing podcasts? You know, getting their face out there. You know, are they marketable?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of these guys, man, they're making a shitload more money outside of fighting.
Yeah. Well, look at McGregor. He's the perfect example. You know, he got so huge that he kind of realized, you know, he's like a rags to riches story. He came from nothing. And he got so huge in fighting that he realized, I don't even actually need fighting anymore. I can make more money and be way bigger selling whiskey or whatever the hell else his products are that he's promoting. And now, who knows what's going to happen with this next fight with him. But
at this point, because he's got so much money, it's a lot of people say, it's difficult to get out of bed, like to go and train for a fight. But I'm sure at some level, he's getting that same rush that he'd be getting fight preparation when he's doing these business deals.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sure, there's that.
Yeah, there's that dopamine fix.
Yeah, and it's high stakes. You know, when you're doing multi-million-dollar business deals, that's going to be like, ooh.
Well, he's recently just bought into the BKFC, so I went over and tried out for the BKFC last year, which is Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Let's talk about that,
and, dude. He's now bought into that with David, the owner.
Yeah.
And so.
Hang on, so you went, so that's based in the States.
Yeah.
And it's, for anyone who doesn't know, bare knuckle, you literally,
bare knuckle boxing.
No gloves.
Yeah, no gloves.
Just boxing?
Yeah, just boxing. And it's a bit of dirty boxing. So I think you can grab him behind the head and give him a one up, you know what I mean? And sort of like a bit of this, but it's called toe to line. So like you want to stand your ground and sort of get in there. But the truth is a lot of evasion is different because, you know, you don't have the gloves. So you don't have protection, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's first in, best dressed, and you want to get in there and make some money, you know. So I went over there.
It's vicious, eh?
It's real
vicious. It's like a dog fight.
Yeah, it's proper like a dog fight. I love it. I've been watching it and getting right into it. So I hope, you know, in the next 12 months I get a fight on BKFC, and you know what I mean?
So you're in?
Yeah, so I went over there and got into BKFC. So I'm just waiting on a fight now, or see if they come to Australia and see if they're going to come to Australia. Might put me on the show here. So I'm just talking to my managers over in, you know, in the States. And so now I've got a management team over in the States, and they manage all my fights and get me on the BKFC and that sort of thing. So it was really good. I went over there and did the tryouts. And
So what was the tryout?
You go over there and you do a big run and you do a fitness thing so they can all judge you, and then, you know, you work together, do a bit of sparring, partner up, and, you know, they can just have a look and see where everyone sort of sits, you know what I mean, and see where you're at. It was really good. So I went over there and you know what I mean, try it out. One of my mates is a bare knuckle fighter. It's a Jackson. He's a great fighter and one of the veterans in BKFC. And he said to me, I met him in Thailand years ago. We did a fight camp together at Top Team. And, you know, years later, I'm a champion fighter. He's also a champion. I reached out to him and said, "Oi, hey, bro, what's happening?" He said, "Come over for the tryouts." So I went over and, you know, I gave it my best and got in. And so now I'm just waiting for a matchup. And, yeah, I'm just keen. So I'm working on my boxing and bare knuckle, you know what I mean? So
congrats, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a big one. So what's your background with just boxing in general? Have you
Yeah, so
you've always done kickboxing, right?
No, I started boxing when I was 14. So originally when I was a young fella, I started martial arts about 5, and then, you know, I started boxing at about 14.
Okay.
And I was a Victorian champion boxer probably 4 years in a row. So my amateur record was like 8 fights and 7 wins, and I had like you know, 2 or 3 Victorian titles and silver medal at the Nationals. So I was pretty hands-on. Yeah. But then when I got to North Queensland later on in my career, you know, my family relocated to North Queensland. So I went up there. There was no boxing up there. So I had to choose Muay Thai and Thai boxing, and because it's a bit closer to Thailand, and that had a bit of influence from the Muay Thai and kickboxing, and that's how I originally... So
there's just no scene?
There was no scene.
So would you have stuck with boxing?
I would have. Original story is there was a bloke working with us on a job site, and he's like, "Oh, Muay Thai is awesome." And I was always like, if you lift your leg and I catch you out, I'm going to knock you out. But the truth is they can kick you in the face as quick as you can punch them, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't understand this. So I rocked up to an event, and
they're so fast, dude. Yeah. You're totally right. It's kick you a roundhouse kick to the head, and you don't even see it.
Yeah, you can't even see it. So, and my first fight, I rocked up to a venue, and the guy that I was working with, he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you a fight if you rock up." So I rocked up with my gloves, and you know, I'm Victorian champion boxer, so I can punch on. And I rocked up there, and I was like, "Yeah, no worries." And I got put in with a Thai kid, and he just grabbed me behind the head and started kneeing me in the head. And I remember, I was like, "What's going on here? Hang on a minute," because I just went to duck. And like after that, I learned, all right, like
you ducked into his knees.
Yeah, don't duck into knees. Like you just don't do that. So now I don't duck into knees. I'm really good at not ducking into knees.
Yeah, good. I think it's a valuable skill to have. You know,
but because I lost that fight, I realized that this is something I wanted to do. Yeah, and I started training Muay Thai after that, and that's how now I'm the world champion.
Yeah, wow. So, Okay, so just back to BKFC. Talk to me about what are you doing differently when you're full gloves and when you're bare knuckle? Like, what have you got to worry about? Obviously, injuring your hands has got to be a big one.
Yeah, injuring your hands is a big one, but I work a lot on conditioning my hands. You know what I mean? And you're always going to break a hand or a couple of bones or something when you're fighting bare knuckle. So I think the key is to get it as good as you can and just aim as good as you can and try not to throw any sloppy shots where you're going to hurt your hand, you know what I mean? So it's really concentrating.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, part of the game, you're going to hurt your hands, you know what I mean? Yeah, same as you hurt your shins when you do Thai boxing, you know what I mean? I guess it's part of the sport. So, but the guard's a lot different. So you guard, you don't, you sort of cover your face. And so I'm learning all about it and trying to find new methods of, like my own human science and how I'm going to, get through someone else's guard. Like how am I going to rip his guard off his face so that I can... that's what I'm more worried about, I guess. How am I?
Yeah, of course. How are you going to find the?
How am I going to find the hole?
Find the win.
Find the win.
What do you know about the, both you guys, the science of a concussion? What as far
Today?
Yeah, sure. You know all about it. No, you know that. You got one on the top of the head. It's about your brain moving inside your skull, and then your brain just going, nah, you need to shut off, right? Is that
a KO or a concussion?
Well, yeah, and let's talk about a KO. Let's talk about both. What's the difference?
In KO, you're going to wake up on the ground. And
you're literally asleep.
Usually somebody standing over the top, you're going,
yeah, you're with
us. You're back with us. You're okay.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Knockout is you're literally asleep. Concussion, what's concussion?
That's when you feel how I do today. Yeah, shit happens, man. It's all good. It's part of camp. So I'm on the big bucks.
That was an I forgive you, I think, Arty. I think that's...
Yeah, I am sorry. In some small ways. Only tortured me for the last few weeks, so...
He had it coming.
Yeah. I was like...
You're just going to be wary. Same as a KO, I guess. It's like, you've just rocked your brain.
Sure.
But
not enough to
don't get out on the piss or things like that. That's where a lot of guys get themselves into trouble. They might... do a fight and, they might not get knocked out, but you might have done 10, 15 minutes with a guy and you're smashing each other in the head, and then you go out to celebrate and
you're like, I don't
they're hitting
feel
the
good.
piss, and then all of a sudden they don't feel good and they're in the ER because,
so that's swelling on your brain.
Yeah, and then, alcohol dehydrates you. Excuse me. So then, your brain's in that state, then you're like, hey, let's just extract everything that you need and we're going to pump it full of alcohol. So,
exacerbates anything that, right. It's how concerned are you about this? Because it's a real thing.
Not very concerned, I'll be honest. I push that out of my brain as well. So I programmed my brain not to care about that at all so that I can concentrate on getting my job done. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I do realise as soon as I jump that ropes, there's all these things go on. But, how many people in the world could wish they could fight for a world title or wish they had the ability to do this? So many people, they're physically unwell and mentally don't have the ability to do all this. And I feel that, if I got given all the gifts, to be able to live a life like this and help others, to achieve their full potential, like, who am I to hold myself back or to think of these little things that are going to stand in my way? Like, do you know what I mean? So I just sort of, I learn about them, make sure that I understand them so that I can respectfully acknowledge it and also work on it so that if I am concussed, I take like he said, the right precautions and right procedures, into getting better because, same as if I get wounded on the battlefield, like cut or whatever, I get stitched up straight up and I let it heal because otherwise you don't get back out on the battlefield, If like back in the day, if, you got cut on the battlefield and you didn't get stitched up, that was your last time. You were going to die from that cut, you know what I mean? So you want to get stitched up, you want to get that attended to straight away so that you can get back out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's a good answer, dude. Like, and I guess it's kind of, there's a lot of people who would be too scared to do it because they're worried about that. But fuck, man, a friend of mine just recently, she's my age in the States. She's just passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
Super healthy chick, always took care of herself, and she just got her dead. So like, good on you. Fuck it, we could get hit by a bus tomorrow.
100%, we don't promise tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you got to take a few bops on the head.
So what? You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, it's all worth it, So for me to be able to, when I look at the next generation, all these kids look up to me and, they want to be someone like Arty and, you know what I mean? I watch them all, chant my name and they're all wearing around T-shirts with my face on it. It makes me pretty happy, you know what I mean? I watch them, and they don't want to be bad people. They don't want to be, all these thugs or idiots or, they don't want to treat women wrong. They want to do the right thing. They want to treat people correctly and be humble warriors. You know what I mean? That's what I want to create, and humble people with the great attributes in life, and that want to be good people.
Yeah. What's Jordan Peterson talks about that? He says something along the lines of, it's true power comes from knowing that you have the ability to be a monster and control it.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't have it in you. It's that you do have it in you. Yeah. You strengthen it, and you got
it in check.
Yeah, and you are in control of that. And there's a lot of power in that.
100%. And I think that's a big thing that martial arts teaches you is, you know what I mean, is your ability and who you can be, So like the other day I remember I was after training one day, I thought, wow, it's actually scary a human being could be this physically capable of going through this much, to get to wherever I got to do and to concentrate on my job and like to be a fighter. Like it's actually scary to think a human could, reach this level. But, like I'm humble and, to get to this level I've been through a lot and it's humbled me a lot. So, I don't think I would be this humble if I hadn't pushed myself this hard, and, I'm thankful because I'm a good man and I get to do great things and, I have a great perspective on life and I get to enjoy every moment and, I'm happy, like, so that's the main thing. Happiness is the key to life. So, you can live a lifetime of do whatever, but if you're not happy, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that, it's a funny combination where, again, people who aren't trained, who don't spend any time doing this, they fight when they get angry. And there's a strong association with anger and fighting. Whereas like, did you get into fighting because you were angry and it stopped you being angry? Or?
Yeah, definitely. So as a kid, I definitely had behavioural difficulties and that sort of thing. And, you know, my brothers taught me martial arts at like 5, you know, to calm me down and teach me like, hey, this is the way of life. You know, you want to be a man, you got to learn how to control yourself. You know, it's not about, you know, and so, yeah. And it's, you know, it's been a lesson my whole life that I've had to learn and, you know, come back to. And I think everybody learns it at different paces and, you know, goes through different, you know, scenarios in their life and different, you know, obstacles to reach wherever they're going to be, you know, to who they're going to be, you know what I mean? But for me, I definitely am happy, you know, I got to reach a happy person and, you know, I respect every minute I live, you know, so like if I get to enjoy every minute, then, you know, I'm doing better than half the population out there, so I'm pretty happy, you know what I mean? And to everyone out there, make the most of your life, like, you know, start where you are, use what you can and do what you can.
He's a pretty angry guy right here, you know. He's like, it's all love coming out of you, bro. You need to go in next week and kick the shit out of
as soon as that bell goes, it's a different man, though. You know what I mean? I guess I get to let it out. So outside the ring, I don't have to be angry, as in everyone else has got something to prove. But us boys, you know, we're all good.
He's in the middle of a weight cut, so I'm actually surprised he's not even angry today.
Cranky. Yeah. So when's your fight?
My fight is this weekend, so Saturday night. So today is Tuesday, and I've been doing a bit of a weight cut, trying to get my weight down as far as I can so that I've got less to cut later on during the week, and just to see how fluent my body is and how much I'm going to drop, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to talk about the weight cut, how that's, I mean, I'm sure most people can relate to trying to lose weight at some point in their life. It's not fun. You know, when you're in a fat burning mode, and it's you know, you get cranky, you get tired, but this is even more challenging by the sounds of things, because so what's the process? You got to get rid of as much water weight or any weight as you can, and then you eat again and try and fill up again before the fight. What's the process of weight cutting? Yeah,
so the process is you're coming up for a fight. You're about week out and you've got to make weight, so you know your trainer or whatever will usually get you a fight at a couple kilos less than whatever you're weighing, so that
like how many, what's your threshold?
You know, so I'm weighing about 67
comfortably. You walk around
comfortably about that, and then I'll come in at 61 for my fight. Do you know what I mean? So
I mean, there's a lot of people who'd be like, fuck, if I could only lose 6 kilos, and they never do it in their whole life, whereas you do it all the time.
Yeah, but I put it straight back on. That's the key. Like I'm not keeping it off. That's the one good thing. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of it's like fluid weight and food weight, but it makes you hangry. Like he said, like you start cutting weight, and all of a sudden, you know, you don't have as much fluid in your body. You don't have as much food, and you start like. Plus, you got those waves of the nerves of the fight coming. You know, because you're going to punch on with old mate in front of 1,000 people. So all of a sudden, you're shitting bricks. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a full mind fuck, and then you're like, oh, is my body right in my own weight? So you got like, you know, there's 100 things going through your head, but it's like, you know, it's about calming down and realizing that, you know, like I said, like not everyone gets to live this, so I want to enjoy it. So you know what I mean? Like every minute, even the weight cutting, I want to remember it and be like, this is something that I did. I got to do this. Like, do you know? So
it is exciting.
Yeah, you know, you're super exciting.
You're really working hard towards something that is high stakes, as we said. You know, it's the highs must be super high and the lows must be real low. You know, taking a loss after doing all the training and the weight cutting and everything that you've done. It's a roller coaster, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Time away from your family, time away from fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's no burgers and fries. It's just grinding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. That's why they need, you know, the fight is one thing, but you need a good team.
You need a good team. You need a good team, 100% a good team. It makes life so much different, you know what I mean? So, like, you know, ever since me and Shawnee linked up, you know, my team's definitely grown and it's for the best, you know what I mean? And me and him started, and, you know, where we've come is a long way, and, you know, what we're doing now in comparison to what we're doing when we first linked up is like unbelievable, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's only give us more time. We're only going to get better at what we do, you know, and we're full in sync together, and, you know what I mean? We work together, but it's about how much do I want it. So the truth is, you know, time right now, I miss my daughter. I just want to spend time with my daughter, you know, my fiance, I miss my girl, you know, and I can see that she's hurt and that I'm not there. I want to be there with her too, but the truth is, it's like, how bad do I want this fight? You know what I mean?
And what it will give you, and the opportunities financially and career wise for doing this. You know, that's the sacrifice. Yeah. I got to say, I don't think there's a sport that requires more cardio than martial arts. I don't know if they're like maybe triathletes, maybe that's probably needs more. And I guess that's why, what was it? Was it the Diaz brothers that would do triathlons?
Yeah.
And I guess, when you think about how, like you watch, I watch the guys in the gym, right? Like Fuzz. Fuzz is
Shout
great.
out to Fuzzy.
Shout out to Fuzzy.
Just got the win at Honor. Miles a week. Great win,
man.
brother. Thailand paid off.
First pro fight, and he won it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And I remember when my first class with you came in, Fuzz is beside me, and we're just doing the bag, and he's hitting the bag, and he's going nyang, and he's doing these noises every time he does a kick and a punch, and I'm like terrified because he's got this noise, and someone else was giving him shit about it, and he goes, I can't help it. I learned it in Thailand. It's all part of the motion, you know. And you look at him train, and you look at him, he's great. He knows what he's doing, but then you watch a fight, you watch him fight, and you can see where both him and his opponent, who are pretty equally matched, they're real tired. And I know how fit he is. And then you look at someone like at your level, and you see you guys getting tired at a different level, at a different point. You kind of don't appreciate just how good your cardio is. Like, it's like looking at a team of basketballers. They look like normal people, but they're all 6'7". You know, you put a normal person next to them and they're absolutely tiny. It's just incredible how important that conditioning is, and how much hard work you have to go through to get your cardiovascular system to be able to handle. How long are your rounds?
3 minutes, 5 3-minute rounds I'll be fighting this weekend.
Okay. So 15 minutes of war.
Yeah.
Hopefully not that long. Hopefully you'll dispatch it
hopefully
sooner
it'll be
than that.
over in a couple of minutes. That's my aim.
But that's like, at that point, towards the end, when you got someone standing in front of you kicking you in the head and you're given all that you've got, it's amazing how much that takes it out of you.
It's a mental game then. Yeah. That's where it's like, you've got your body conditioning, but that body conditioning stems through to, your mind. So, I'll constantly be at people where it's like, I'll train them to the exhaustion. And I think it's Muhammad Ali, when he was like, how many push-ups, how many sit-ups that he does? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I wait till I'm exhausted, then I start counting. I think that's his quote. It's like, you tap yourself out, and then it's in the end, it's like you might be equally matched, as you're saying, like in Fuzzy's last fight. But in the end, you just got to keep pushing. It's like, and in the end, that mental edge may help you prevail.
Yeah, well, if that's what it, and that, I mean, you can't train that until you get to that. Yeah. And I'm sure that every fiber of your physical being is going, I don't want to get to that. I'm going to do everything I can to avoid getting to that. Yeah. Because it's awful.
Yeah, we look like Fuzzy came to me like a year ago, put his name on the whiteboard. Yeah. He was just like you, doing class. Yeah. He goes, I want to fight. And I said, when? He goes, you tell me when. He goes, I'll do whatever the hell you say. Name's on the board. So you fast forward a year.
Never done it, never had a fight, never trained?
No. He was training a little bit like, you were yourself. But he just basically put his name on the board and, mate, absolute fucking dedication. Whatever I said, he did it. And you
Every time I've been to that gym, he's there. Yeah. No matter what time of day it is.
Because mentally he wanted it, and it was just like a matter of getting the body to catch up to what the mind wanted.
Yes.
And then you fast forward, he's done 2 camps with me in Thailand, and last year got himself to a point, and then we took him over for his first trip to Thailand, and he was like, holy shit. Like,
this is a different thing.
thought I'd gone to this level, and I realized I'm still down here. And it's like,
again,
yeah, literally. And you're there with kids that are going to beat the shit out of you. Yeah. After you've gone running in 40-degree heat, and it's like, hey, go, this bag that's been hanging there since 1973, like it's hard as a rock, go and kick that. Like,
Yes.
And then you come back to Australia, and then you go back to your gym and you're like, wow, it's not so hot. This gym, our gym in particular is air conditioned, bags are a bit softer, and it's just good. Like he came back and, on his second trip this time around, and Thailand had a heat wave. Like we're waking up 35 degrees, we're going running and it's like 40 degrees. The Thais are even saying to us, geez, it's hot today. And I'm thinking, shit, you live here, man.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder I'm feeling like shit. you know, and I'm 47 years old now and I'm running side by side with Furzey. Just, you know, that's my thing where it's just like, if this old man can be running out there doing it, you boys, you know, that come along with me in the 20s, you better keep up.
You're the one that's fighting, you know.
Yeah. You know, like,
if you can't keep up with grandpa, you got nothing.
I'm because I've got a screw loose. Yeah.
So what's your mindset at that point, Arty, when you are gassed out and he's still in front of you?
Work.
You
just work, and I just think work, and use your brain. So I've got a theory, right? Two blokes can be as fit as each other.
Yeah.
They can be as fit as each other. They're both conditioned. They're physically as fit as each other. They're stomping. The smartest bloke in the ring will win.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to be able to use your brain. You know what I mean? And you have to use it. Not just be able to use your brain and have
make the right choices.
Yeah, make the right choices and then calculate what thought is worth thinking at this time, because I don't have time for anything. So I need to utilize what thoughts come into my brain. I need to make sure they're the ones that are going to win me the fight. Do you know what I mean? So number one thing that I always think is don't ever give up. And I program my brain to, whenever I feel like that, to just push harder, right, and go harder and dig deeper. Because there's got to be times
when your body's going, nah,
100%.
give up.
There's 100%. And we do this every training session, so we take our bodies past that point of wanting to give up. Okay. You know what I mean? And it's
so you're getting comfortable with that feeling.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they'll never get to that feeling.
Yeah.
They stop before they vomit. They stop before they want to sit down. They just stop. Yeah. So you're getting there and you're hanging out there.
Yeah, and that's where I live. Like that's where I want to be. Do you know what I mean? So it's about like, you know, and then and then it's about accessing your brain. So you know, everything that I've been taught, I need to, you know, utilize that, and it comes through me, and then I've got to do it. So I've got to get out there and use all this smart stuff inside of my brain, all this information, all this stuff that can win me the fight. I need to be able to access that and use it. So you know, I need to be able to train to a point that where my brain normally wouldn't work, everyone else's brain quits and my brain goes into just drive, and I can access all that information and just work. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So you need to get to a point where you're working towards getting to a point where you can, that's just the default.
Yeah.
Instead of the default being, which is a natural animal thing, the default being, okay, it's time for me to stop now. Yeah. Your default is, it's time, it's getting hard, I have to dig deeper.
Yeah, 100%.
Without thinking that, just doing it.
Yeah.
Man, it's essentially been our motto for this camp. Like I went to Thailand, he went to Vietnam to get engaged. So the lead up to this hasn't been ideal, but you know what camp is. But we just said, okay, well, we're just going to get you as comfortable in the uncomfortable as often as possible in this camp. And we've done things like, a lot of it's been sharpening up the
I've done better
game.
camps, that's for sure. But
that's great.
We've made the most of the time we've had. Like,
there's a technique that lead guitar players will do when they're learning how to shred. You learn a solo or a scale at 120% of the tempo. So if you can play it that 20% faster than normal, then when it comes to the gig and you're playing at normal speed, you're like, this is a piece of piss. So I guess
same mentality.
If you can be pushed harder in training and in camp, then you will be in a fight. Like and you were telling me if your fight maximum is going to be 15 minutes, okay, cool. When we're sparring for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you can ride out that makes perfect sense. If you're like, I can handle 30 minutes, it's fucking hard, but I can handle it. 15 minutes ain't no thing.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's other little, things as well where, like, say for instance, he would much prefer in a weight cut to put on a suit and go for a run. All right. And that's all well and good. He hates the sauna.
I hate it.
So every day.
I hate the sauna.
Not
just
even to cut weight.
Knows I fucking hate the sauna.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I hate the sauna. I hate it.
Tell me why.
I just hate the fluctuation of body temperature, like back and forth. I'm like, who would like this? Who does this? We live in a climate and we have a jumper, so we live at one. And then I'm like, I'd rather get punched in the face. So anyone's like, oh, do you want to jump in the sauna and lose weight? I'm like, rather than do a weight cut, I would rather get punched in the face every night of the week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, rather than do this weight cut I'm on right now, I'd rather spar and just get bashed. Like, I'll tick my name to getting flogged every night. Like, easy, but getting in the sauna and sweating. So I'm in the sauna. And there's other boys that are there, they're like, what do you mean you don't like the sauna? I'm like, I hate the sauna.
Isn't that funny how the things that our weaknesses, most people's weaknesses is getting you're hit in the head, punched in the face, right? But fighters, it's always something different. There was this show on Netflix, it was this Korean fitness show, and they had to do these like, it's called Physical 100, I think, and they had to do these obstacle courses. And one of the guys, they're all from different fitness aspects, they were bodybuilders, athletes. One of the guys was a MMA champ, and he's an older dude. I think he's in his mid-40s, so real old.
Thanks, man.
And he's like a champ, MMA champ in Korea. And this obstacle, they had to climb over this bridge, this wobbly bridge. And all these other people, they're running over it, and because they've got to carry these bags of things back and forth. But the MMA guy, who's used to getting kicked in the face, is crawling on his hands and knees because he's too scared to run across the bridge. And like, fear of heights is a perfectly normal thing. It's very common. Lots of people have it, but it was just funny to me. It was just amazing to me that the guy who's prepared to go toe to toe with someone who's going to potentially bash him is scared of walking across a little bridge. And then we got you, Arty, who would like much rather get
saunas. I don't like them. Nah.
How do you go with a cold, like a cold plunge?
He's just about to tell you about this.
I'll tell you a good story from this camp. So as I said,
this is not a good story.
We've established that he'd much prefer to get punched in the face and go running with a suit on.
Or a cold bath.
So I just drop it in after every session, and it's got nothing to do with a weight cut. It's purely mentally.
Right.
So
it's purely just for your own enjoyment.
Well, there was a percentage.
Physically probably doesn't help me, but mentally it does.
So every day.
Now the bruises on his face are starting to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, they're accountable. I just take him into the lockers and 2 minutes ice cold shower straight after training.
Yep.
And then put him in the hot box.
I mean, look, it's not that cold. We're here in Queensland on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, he's from Cairns.
Okay, so it's pretty cold for me.
He's from Cairns and he's just flown in from Vietnam. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, he was, like Monday crying, and last week crying and bitching, and I literally was just teeping him, kicking him in. I had the cubicle open for the cold shower, and he's trying to get out, and he's in there with his shoulders like, it's fucking cold. And I'm like just kicking him and turning him around. Put him in there for 2 minutes, and then put the timer outside the window of the sauna and say, I'll be back. I'll be back in 10 minutes. And just go and sit in there. And it's just another way to have him comfortable,
being
in the uncomfortable. Yeah.
So that's for you worse punishment than a fight.
Yeah, for me, I'd rather punch on every day than do that. Like that was way harder for me, right? To stay in that cubicle while he's pushing me. He's like, no. I'm like, I'm going to come out swinging. I'm like,
I will hurt you.
Yeah, that's all I know how to do right now. I don't enjoy this. I'm going into fight or flight, and my choice is fight.
Yes, I'll bite.
Yeah, I will bite and flight and bite.
Yeah, wow.
Well, we stirred him up yesterday. He was... he got to a point, after a week of doing it was all right. So we got a few of the boys in, and I decided to jump in, just like, I'll go running, with the fighters. And it's just like I'm saying, if I'm 47 and I'm doing it, sure as shit you can. So I decided to go in there while he's complaining about 10 minutes of heat. So I went in a tracksuit with a sweatsuit over the top, socks and sandals.
In the sauna?
Yeah, and just stood in front of him. And while he suffered because he hates it, I just stood there and just like, I'm here.
Yes.
So I wasn't saying anything either. I wasn't going to say anything. I just shut my mouth. I was like, thanks for being in here. Yeah. Feel free to fall over.
This is great. I love it. No one is safe from a little bit of bullying. Even world champion fighters.
100%.
You're getting bullied by your coach.
But yeah, he'd be getting to like, the last 60 seconds of it, and you can see the timer, and he's getting all edgy and sitting there. So I'd be like, okay, hey, time to focus. Think about this opponent. Get him to stand up. Keep your hands up. Start moving around. Visualize the fight. You're going to be exhausted physically, mentally, you know. So it's just running, another way, I guess, of running scenario, and in the end of it, well, he steps out and he realizes, it's like a fight. Yeah, it's, you're going to have 10, 15 minutes of like where it's hard times, but in the end, you're going to come out, so.
I got to say, Arty, I hate to admit it, but I'm on Shauno's side with this. I feel like that if you need to spend more time in the cold and in the heat, because if you're trying to condition your mind, you're comfortable with someone kicking you.
100%.
You're not comfortable being chilly.
100%. So that's why, like, towards the end of the week this week, you know, I'm jumping in the sauna and then I'm jumping out and I'm in the ice bath and I'm just like, who cares? Who cares? And like now I'm programming my brain like, it doesn't matter, like whatever, you know. I'm starting to enjoy that pain, that you know what I mean?
Different type.
Yeah, like different type, but it's the same sort of stuff. And once you use your same brain power, you can come around it, whatever it is, you know. So I'm just like, but the start of it was definitely the worst, you know what I mean? But it always is. The thought of doing it's the hardest. So anyone who ever says to me, oh, you know, I'm going to go to training. Yeah, you're thinking about going to train. That's the hardest part. Just get in the car and drive there.
Yeah.
Right? Once you're there, you got to train. Like, that's the easy part.
Be there and do a shit session, but just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just get there, you know. So I've done 1,000 shit sessions, you know, but I've done 1,000 good ones too.
Yeah. Just on that mindset thing, and you were kind of talking about this earlier about good days and bad days. And if you want fight day to be a good day mentally. But I was listening to Cowboy Cerrone talking about that time when he fought McGregor and he lost to McGregor, and McGregor's giving him the shoulders in the head and in the clinch, and what he was saying was Donald showed up to that fight. He was like, Cowboy was never there. He's like, I just wasn't on, you know, rocked up that day and Cowboy was nowhere to be seen. And this was just me, Donald, in the ring. Just never felt it. It was just not my day. And I was like, I just never had a chance. And it was just interesting to hear him say that, you know, this is a guy, UFC, title fight. I think it was a title fight, but, you know, fighting one of the best fighters of all time, himself being one of the best fighters of all time. And it's just like, just didn't turn up that day.
Yeah. Well, similar for you, man. It's like you've been down here, like we said, short camp, but we've had Arty crying about being in the shower. We've had Arty cry about being in the sauna, but then hard sparring last night, 4-ounce gloves, you know, foot to the floor, and it wasn't Arty no more. It was the animal. So you know, the switch has been flicked. Yeah. So that made me happy, man. It's like the amount of time we've had, the best version of the animal is sitting in front of you. So mentally, physically. So bring it on Saturday.
Because I feel like I could probably fight Arty. Arty's I'm bigger than you. You're a super sweet dude. I don't want to go anywhere near the fucking animal. So save the animal. The more you can tap into the animal in the ring and on fight day.
That's it. That's the key, you know, and I tap into him. So, like, you know, when Shaun says to me when he suits up and he whacks on his head guard and he whacks on the belly shield and he's like, looks at me and he's like, Arty, switch on. Like, I can switch on. I can physically switch on now, you know what I mean? And like, that is scary to think that human beings can switch on at this level, you know, and be this destructive. Is like, with great power comes great responsibility, you know, so you learn to be humble, you know what I mean? You learn that, like, you can't, you know, get angry and fight off anger and, you know, stupid shit that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, people who don't have any experience in violence, you know, they go and do that sort of stuff because, you know, they don't have experience in violence. If you've got experience in violence, you understand that you can't punch on angry or upset, or you got to clear your mind, get the job done, you know what I mean? No matter what it is.
Be conscious.
Yeah, be conscious, you know.
Because that's something that I've always kind of been concerned about. Not so much now just because of the tiny amount of training that I've done, but I've always thought, me being a non-violent person, what do I do if something happens to make me be violent? Like, I don't know. I have no relationship with that whatsoever. So if, you know, the scenario were to present itself where someone were to attack my wife or my daughter, I mean, I'll do something. I don't know what it'll be. I mean, now I think I know what I would do, and I feel much more comfortable knowing what I would do. But before, I would have done something, but what would it have been?
Yeah,
I got no idea.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary. That untapped kind of instinct, that animal instinct.
Just got to find, how would you say, your key to undoing it. You know, unlocking. You know, and going forward with that. Everybody's got a different key. What's going to trigger you? You know, I even train. You know, NDIS clients. Excuse me. And I've got a client, Dylan. Shout out, brother. 3 sessions a week. Great guy. I won't go into his medical issues, but just some days he's, you know, he might not be in the groove. So we've developed a thing now where it's just like he comes in with his carer, and so we call that heavy right kick. We call it Jacob. So if he's not quite firing that morning, I'd be like, hey, here's a little 1-2, and now give me a Jacob. And he'll look at his carer, whack, big right kick, and we're going for the day, you know? So,
That's great.
You know, whatever, you just got to find that key for the individual.
I'm just thinking about being his carer. Look like fuck.
Jacob's a sweet dude too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You gotta find that button.
Yeah.
It's funny. You know, one of Shauno's things that Shauno cries about is me not mentioning him on the podcast. The amount of times, the end of training when we're doing the abs.
He brings up Muay Thai all the time. I'm just in there going, where's the shout out, brother?
Yeah.
Where's the shout out?
He cries about it all the time. Whacks me in the bum with the stick when we're doing abs.
I listened to your podcast and I didn't hear my name.
Yeah, I always get punished at the end of class. So now I'm off the hook, right? I've got him on the fucking
Straight up. Now you're off that.
Yeah, it's going to give me a couple of weeks of round.
Yeah. Fearless burpees.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your schedule. What do you got? You got a bunch coming up, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shauno, this is probably a Shauno question, isn't it? What's coming up?
Well, you go through your fights.
Can we address the team on this one again? Like this should be. I've been dealing with this issue on my own for so long, and now just recently he's put together a team to help me, and it's helped me out majorly because now I don't have to worry about a million fights, a million different destinations, a million things going on. You know, I've got a team of people. Yeah, and I just we've got a group chat. We put everything on there, and it gets addressed as a team, and we can move forward. Do you know what I mean?
Awesome.
So yeah, it's like it's much more capable of doing much better things. You know, with my time, I guess.
Okay, so Shauno, what do we got?
He's got 3 fights coming up in 7-8 weeks.
So next week is
Cairns,
and that's
Cage.
World title?
Yeah, world title. Cage.
World title, Cage Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're shooting down to Sydney.
Yeah, we've got Sydney on the 22nd of this month, so that's in 20 days. We'll have
What's
number
that
2.
one?
That's a world title as well.
Muay Thai?
In Muay Thai, world title in Sydney.
So how are you doing multiple world titles? How does that work?
Well, one's in the Cage in Queensland. And
So it's like a
brand new
different
title.
A different organisation.
No, same, different title. So, and different state and different organisation running the show, you know what I mean? So,
Okay.
And so we'll fly down and I'll fight on Steve Jezz's promotion in Sydney, and I'll fight for a world title on that one. I'm pretty sure I'm the main event of that show. And then I'll fly down to Melbourne on the 27th of next month for my 3rd world title in 7 or 8 weeks. And and that one will be maybe K1. We're just still trying to find out the logistics on that one, but it should be K1. And and that'll be like multiple disciplines and multiple regions around Australia. And just
Where's that one?
Melbourne, the last one.
Yeah.
It's 27th of July. So
Okay.
yeah, and so
And in between that, we've got probably send you back to Thailand for another camp with my trainer over there, Dang Sing Patong. And then shoot you across, get a bit of family time with the new fiance, get all that taken care of because it's, that's obviously a major part involved as well. Keep him on track, keep his mind on track. Then bring him down to Melbourne and then, after that, maybe take a deep breath for a little bit. It's been a crazy year. September last year, he got his first world title. So, it's been a...
Oh, that was your first one?
yeah, that was my first world title.
Yeah, wow.
So, I won the South Pacific title. I won that probably about a year before that, after my dad passed away, and that gave me the option, that gave the doors open to now be eligible to fight for a world title. And then, I was lucky enough to fight for the world title last year, and Shaun was in my corner for that one.
What was the one here on the Goldie?
That was the world title.
That was the one?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there.
Yeah, so that was a highlight of my life. So
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good, eh?
Yeah, man. That was wild.
Yeah, so...
I was tripping out. That was like the energy in that room, seeing a fight like that in real life, and I was with all the guys that know you.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, that was awesome, man.
That was mad.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a lot of fights in a short amount of time. Would you normally be taking that many fights in that short amount of time?
No, especially the one in Cairns. Like it's whole new setup, for us where he's in the cage, he's in 4-ounce gloves. So it's, a whole new discipline, doing it on such a short time frame. And then, the chances of you taking damage in that with 4-ounce gloves, obviously a lot higher. And then to turn around and back it up with another fight in Sydney 3 weeks later.
So 4-ounce gloves are like the MMA gloves, like the UFC kind of gloves. No. It's not much. No, so just so people know, standard boxing gloves are 12?
Well, then at the fights you might be in 8s, 10s. Depends on like your sanction of what's going on.
What do you normally
About 8s or 10s. So,
Okay,
and
so
these ones are 4 ounces, so they're half the size.
There's nothing.
Yeah, so
Yeah, right. Okay, so it is a different thing to think about. I mean, getting you ready for your BKFC.
Yeah.
It's kind of a taper off. So yeah, get these 3 big Muay Thai fights through, maybe one more, and then see what happens at BKFC after that. You know, maybe before our summer, and then over there to Florida,
and then do a bit of BKFC, then into the Thermopylae and the Car Jitsu.
Yeah. Fighting in a phone booth.
That's it.
The phone booth.
Yeah.
That was you was telling me about that, right?
The phone booth fight, and that's classic.
Yeah.
It's great. They'll do anything. Wow, man. It's a packed schedule.
It is.
I'm not going to wish you luck because you don't need it. It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to see the fight. What a fucking trip you're on. Hey, like this is wild.
Hell of a ride.
Hell of a ride. And you got your new podcast coming out?
Yeah, man. We just started shooting mine. It's called Hitting with Pads. We're just shooting it, running that through with the photo guys. They've been doing all of our video production lately. Great team, Bryce and Brando. We brought my girlfriend Gabby on board. So yeah, now she's basically working the PA side of things and making sure the ship is going in the right direction.
Yep.
So that way he can just concentrate on his fighting and me on coaching and see where we go from there.
Great. All right, fellas. I feel like we've kind of covered it all.
You're too easy, man. It's been good.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, mate, my pleasure. This has been a very educational conversation. Remember that time when I said that I could beat Arty? Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's recorded now. That's recorded.
I myself saying it. I was like, got to cut that bit out for sure. That was a mistake.
We can make that happen. Yeah.
Awesome.
Make some great content, brother.
I know. Love you, fellas. Cheers.
Oh, thanks, man.
See you.
Bye.